Hi, I'm Mark Ryan. In this video, I'll do a quick rundown of 10 things that I love about fastai. You can find out more about the many great features of fastai in my new book from Pact Publishing, Deep Learning with fastai Cookbook. Here's my list of the 10 things I love about fastai. fastai makes it easy to access datasets. fastai makes it easy to examine datasets. fastai lets you get to a trained deep learning model in 5 lines of code. fastai takes the headaches out of dealing with categorical columns in tabular data. fastai automatically generates pipelines for basic applications. fastai makes it easy to take advantage of transfer learning. With fastai, you can get good performance from model deployments using Flask. The fastai courses created by Jeremy Howard, Rachel Thomas, and their team are great. The fastai book that came out last year is great. A new fastai book that's coming out this year is, well, you can be the judge of that. Now, let's look at each of these in a bit more detail. fastai makes it super easy to access data. This example shows ingestion of data. The untar data statement takes as an argument an object that resolves the URL of the dataset. If you haven't copied the dataset already, this statement copies the dataset to your environment. You can use the ls command on the path object to see the structure of the dataset once it's been copied. fastai incorporates a wide range of functions that make it easy to examine datasets. This example shows how you can use showBatch to examine what batches in the training set and the test set look like. fastai also supports functions that make it easy to look at individual elements of the dataset. One of the values of fastai that Jeremy Howard cites is that it allows you to get to a trained model with just a handful of lines of code. Using the path object that we defined earlier, we can get a model trained on the MNIST dataset with just 3 lines of code. We define a data loaders object that takes the path object as an argument, along with the directories containing the training set and the validation set. Next, we define a learner object that takes the data loaders object as an argument, along with the architecture for the model, in this case ResNet 18, along with a loss function and the metric we want to optimize for, in this case accuracy. Finally, we apply the fit statement to the learner object to get a trained model. One of the things I really appreciate about fastai is that it treats deep learning models trained on tabular datasets as first-class citizens. Automatic handling of categorical columns in tabular datasets is just one of the ways that fastai supports tabular data applications. Here you can see the concat split statement that automatically determines which columns in the tabular dataset are continuous and which ones are categorical. For simple applications, fastai automatically defines a pipeline that applies the same transformations at inference time that were applied at training time. For example, here's what the inference code looks like for a fastai model deployment using Flask. The scoring parameters are loaded into a data frame, and then that data frame can be applied directly to the model. Compare this to the situation with Keras. With Keras, the pipeline needs to be maintained as a separate entity from the model, loaded at inference time, and applied to the data frame with the scoring parameters. Only then can the model be applied. fastai makes it easy to take advantage of the power of transfer learning to fine-tune models that have been trained on a large dataset, so that they are applicable to specific use cases. The FastAI team was pioneers at applying transfer learning to NLP. Here's an example of how you could fine-tune a large language model so that it can make good predictions for a particular use case. You create a data loaders object with a use case specific data set. Then, you define a learner object that uses the data loaders object as an argument, along with the AWD LSTM model. Applying fine-tune to the learner object trains a model that takes advantage of the general capability of the large language model while also being able to handle examples from the specific use case. The best of both worlds with just a handful of lines of code. I had several pleasant surprises when I applied FastAI to problems that I had previously tackled with Keras. In particular, I was pleased with the performance benefit I got with FastAI, compared to Keras, for a simple web application served with Flask. With FastAI, I could load the model once when the Flask server started up, with the result that the user didn't have to wait for the model to load once the web application was up and running. By contrast, in Keras, I had to load the model along with the pipelines every time the web page was loaded, resulting in much worse performance. No list of things to love about FastAI would be complete without mentioning the courses built around FastAI, including Practical Deep Learning for Coders. This excellent and free course leads you through the basics of deep learning in a very natural way by starting with working code that does something interesting, and quickly giving you the dopamine hit of successfully training a deep learning model. The course then leads you through a variety of deep learning applications while gently introducing the theoretical points behind the code. Such a teaching style is possible because FastAI is designed to make it easy for beginners to get their first models up and running fast, and because FastAI is organized around 4 application types: tabular data, text data, recommender systems, and image data. In 2020, Jeremy Howard and Sylvain Gugger published the seminal book on FastAI, Deep Learning for Coders with FastAI and PyTorch. This excellent book teaches you about deep learning from the ground up and explains many details about FastAI. The code examples that accompany the book cover a wide variety of tasks, including all 4 of the application types I mentioned earlier. And finally, an expression of my love for FastAI is the book that I wrote, Deep Learning with FastAI Cookbook. This book is focused on setting up a FastAI environment and then using it to create practical, working deep learning models for each of the application types supported by FastAI, trained on both the curated datasets provided by FastAI as well as standalone datasets. The book also describes how to deploy your models in simple web applications using Flask. And that's my list of 10 things I love about FastAI. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.